All right, welcome back. Now we're doing lesson 18. Lesson 18, start with your warm-up. If you haven't done it already, do your warm-up on your own. So turn off the video, do your warm-up, then come back to the video. I'll try not to make any mistakes today. Okay, turn off the video. Okay, welcome back. First thing, this is the percent of tax. So we need to remember percent times original equals new. Feel free to write that. That's really good for you to write. So let's see. We don't know the percent. Then we have to decide which one was the original and which one was the new. Cost that and paid that much including tax. So this is the original. That's the one that's oldest in time. And this one's the new. This one's the more recent. So percent times original equals new. Feel free to use a calculator. Now we know how to solve equations, so we're better at this. And when we do this, we get approximately 1.08. We make that into a percent. And remember, we always compare it to 0. So this is an increase of 8%. So that means it's an 8% tax. All right, that's review. Purchase an iPad on sale for 20% off. And so if it's 20% off, of course, that means that we're going to pay 80%. What was the original price of the iPad mini? So percent, 80%, times the original, which is what we don't know, times the original. Let me write it so it's easier for you. Let me put this. Let me change this. We're going to write this as price. So 80% of the original price is equal to $263.20. This right here is the new. That's what we're paying. That's the new price. So then we change everything into math. And of means, of course, to multiply. We get out our calculators. We divide by 8/10. And we get that P is equal to 329. So the original price is $329. All right. Okay, this is a double percent problem like we practiced the other day. First of all, there's a 25% discount. So that means you're going to pay 75%. So first, you're going to pay 75% of the $235. Make it into math. Use your calculator. And now we have to add the tax. This is pay with discount. And now we have to pay the tax. And it's a 7% sales tax. So that means we're going to pay, we want the whole entire thing. So we have to pay 100% plus the 7% of the total cost. We change everything into math. Pick up our calculator. And the total cost is going to be $188.59. Make sure all your work is shown. Make sure it's nice and clear. Let's not get lazy just because I'm not sitting there watching what you're doing. Make sure that we're showing our work. All right. Today, your aim is to become fluent, solving and graphing inequalities. So we practice it. Now you're going to practice it more. Become fluent. Of course, that means I want you to have speed and accuracy. And you know that the one that I value over the other is accuracy. I want it to be right. But right now we shouldn't be hiccuping. We shouldn't be stuttering. We should be able to kind of flow through these. Become fluent solving and graphing inequalities. And remember, the hardest part here, the part that you really, really have to pay attention to, is when you multiply and divide by a negative. If you multiply or divide by a negative, then that inequality sign changes directions. That's what you have to pay attention to every single time. So let's try some problems here. It says solve each inequality and then find the graph of the answer, solve that problem next, number the problems as you go along. This is one of those weird worksheets where it kind of is an answer key. So this is problem number 1. Everybody numbers at number 1. And then we solve it. Negative 5x is less than negative 25. So we're going to divide both sides by a negative 5. We get the x on this side. We get a 5 on this side. And then we go, uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. We divided by a negative. Because we divided by a negative, the inequality sign switches directions. We have x is greater than 5. Now what we have to do is we have to think, well, what's this graph going to look like? You can make yourself a little picture if you want. Oops, 4 there. Above the 5 should be a hollow dot, and we need all the numbers that are bigger, so it's going to the right. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at this page and the next page, and you're going to find wherever you can find this graph right here. Well, it happens to be, can you find it? Good. It happens to be right here. Here is the hollow dot, and it's going to the right. So this is the correct graph. So this is going to be problem number 2. So you number it number 2, then you go over here, and you solve the inequality. You think to yourself, what did we do to both sides? Well, we subtracted. There's no multiplying or dividing by a negative, so the inequality sign stays the same. Then we go ahead, sketch yourself a little graph. Above the negative 4, do we fill it in? Hopefully you're all answering yes. And then we're looking for all the numbers that are bigger than negative 4. Now go ahead and look for that graph. Above the negative 4, there has to be a solid dot. It looks like this one perhaps would be the correct answer. Above the negative 4 is a solid dot, and it's going to the right. So this is problem number 3. You continue like that. This is all your warm-up with your answers. You go all the way through page 61. And then when you get to page 62, they want you to solve each inequality and write the letter of each answer in the box at the bottom of the page. And once you do that, you're going to answer the riddle, what do you do when your smoke alarm goes off? So you're going to show your work. Whoops, let me erase. Whoops, erase first. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. Think to yourself, what did you do? You divided, but not by a negative. Because you did not divide by a negative, stays the same. Then you go over here, and you find where it says x is less than 6, which is t. There's your t. And then you go down to the bottom. And at the bottom, number 6 becomes, whoops, not t. That sometimes I get that wrong. Let me see here. X is less than 6. X is less than 6 is t. So number 1 at the bottom, I got a little confused there for a minute. Number 1 at the bottom is a t. There you go. Let's try one more. Everybody go to number 2. Go ahead and solve it. Go ahead of me. We look at the side with the variable. It's divided by 6. We do the opposite of divided by 6. We multiplied both sides by a positive. There's no reason to change the inequality sign. We get x is greater than or equal to negative 18, which is r. Go to the bottom, and number 2 becomes r. After you fill in your puzzle right down here, you're going to figure out what you do when your smoke alarm goes off. All right, so work carefully. Pay very, very close attention. Let me go back up here. Pay very, very close attention to when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, you change the direction of the inequality sign. Otherwise, the inequality sign stays exactly the way that it is. Practice graphing, practice solving. All right, work hard, pay attention, focus, do the best.